pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Botley.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Clark. Here. Patton.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Zelenak. Eckert.
Here. Motion to approve the agenda with a couple of corrections. Payables, change your figure from 10,356.40 to 10,231.91. Change the total approved to 26,427.27. And add under action items, MML Board of Directors vote.
Under old business, can I add something?
Yep.
Overtime, B and C, pavilion cameras.
Any other corrections? Need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion. I'll support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Motion to approve the minutes of August 10th, 2016.
I'll make a motion. I'll support.
Been moved and supported to accept the minutes from the last meeting. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing on August 10th, 2016.
Make a motion to approve the minutes. Support.
Been moved and supported to accept those minutes. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public comment? No?
Ralph Hines, I coach the Central Lake varsity softball team. First of all, I mean, I know you guys probably are sick of me. I really know that. I want to thank you guys for everything you've done. I mean, you paid for a fence that was like $12,000. You paid for half the backstop. Central Lake softball raised money to pay for the other. The community, like Mr. Patton, for instance, gave us money to purchase a sign for advertisement we put on the field so that we could pay for the yellow cap on top, which Sam did a great job installing, much straighter than I would have. And he knew that, that's why he didn't let me do it. Chris and Mary Corbett paid for a PA system that works just great. We raised money in the community, but honestly, mostly Chris and Mary Corbett paid for the warning track. We installed it, the Old Lots Community Help. The community supports the softball field. I mean, we need somebody puts it on Facebook and there's 10 people down there to shovel some rakes. You know, I mean, it's incredible how they help. Maggie Moll spearheaded painting the dugouts this fall. Got them all painted up and looking good. And now the hard part. We'd really like to put in irrigation. In my mind, you know, they had it freshly installed, it's $9,000 to $12,000 are the estimates that I got. I sucked in the Charlevoix Country Club. They have a trencher that'll pull pipe. They offered that up for our use. We got some sprinkler heads donated, probably not enough. It's still gonna cost a significant amount of money, and that's what I called Sam about, was trying to find out how much pressure and gallons per minute we got at the softball field, blah, blah, blah. I think we can raise the money for that, because I'm gonna come to the community again and suck up money from Brian. He's gonna donate, he doesn't know yet. He's gonna donate, buy a sign, and we'll put his name up there, and hopefully we'll raise enough money to make an irrigation system. I myself don't think that's the biggest problem. I mean, I can raise the money one time, I really believe we can do that. But when we do that, Sam's gonna have to mow a lot more, because I mean, the grass is gonna really grow. And then in the fall, basically, it's gonna be on Sam, because if I quit coaching softball, the next guy won't do it, and I'm not good at stuff like that, but we need to make sure the sprinkler system gets blowed out every year. or we won't have a sprinkler system and it'll be just a big waste of money. Now, I know how much you guys are always donating, this is gonna cost you more. My biggest problem that I have as a coach is dealing with how Central Lake Public School doesn't have to pay anything for softball. They coast on village taxpayer tax. And I know we can say, well, the village has a softball field for Little League and all of this, and that's fine. Central Lake has a baseball field that Little League doesn't use at the high school. They just put a $20,000 fence up, a $10,000 backstop, and they can dump money into that because it's on school property. That being said, the school can rent athletic facilities. I actually went up and talked to the superintendent, and I was hoping she got a hold of you guys. Any luck in that department? No. But why would she? When I say, hey, I really think you should call the village and offer to rent the field. But I really think $1,000 a year, $500 a year, if the school would contribute that to the softball field, even if you guys had a fund that was dedicated for softball maintenance, we could keep improving, because there's the concession stand's gonna need a new roof in the relatively near future. It's starting to look rough. There's always something to make it better, and if you don't make it better, it just gets worse. And I don't care what park you look at anywhere, if you're not making it better, it's gonna get worse. Leila knows, she's in charge of parks, she sees it every day. Okay, so I'd really like your permission to raise some money for the irrigation system, but I need your consideration for how much you're gonna put sand through if you do that. And I would also, and I'll help in any way I can, I'll be the runner, but I think the school needs to give you guys some money every year. And I think if failing to do that is, it's actually, if I had a lot of money, I'd sue the school because they don't support girls' sports. And it's against law. They need to give you something. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you do.
Absolutely.
None of your brothers put in irrigation?
No,
How much money are we talking?
Yeah, that's my.
you know, I think it's gonna be about $4 grand to buy the stuff. And Sam, it kind of depends on how much water we can get and what that regulates, how much pressure and gallons per minute. And I'm not enough of an expert to say exactly what we're gonna have to buy. We may have to buy a booster pump, which would be probably $1 grand, right, Sam?
You won't need a booster.
No?
No.
Okay.
You got plenty there.
Sam knows way more than I do about this stuff.
You can cycle in zones at a time.
Yeah.
Sam,
But
how
certain
often-
sprinklers to cover, you know, I mean, it costs a lot, if you gotta install a lot more sprinklers because you don't have enough pressure, it might be cheaper to buy the booster pump and use less sprinklers that go further. And, I don't have concrete numbers, they would only give me concrete numbers if they installed, and, I'm working on it, I swear, but,
I talked to Ralph last week and, you know, Sam can help us out on this. My issue is the extra mowing time involved with, maybe we could approach the school about, does the school mow at all, Sam, during the?
They contract out to.
We do all the mowing at the Ron Donaldson field.
They, and I believe Cliff
100%.
Wilson's company is contracted for.
No, Cliff told Ralph that he would mow the softball field for a certain fee.
it was like 2,500
500.
For the season?
whole, per year.
But now, is that just the field?
No, that was outside, that was the whole complex.
That's
Maybe.
the tennis courts, everything.
Well,
See,
you know,
that's
Sam,
what I mean, you gotta mow it all. You're gonna
Yeah.
mow part of it, you gotta mow all of it.
right, I agree.
How often do we mow that area now?
You want the honest God's truth?
Yeah.
Every other week at best,
Okay, and if we added a sprinkler system, we're talking once, twice a week.
or at least
Yeah.
twice a week, otherwise you're gonna avoid the windrows.
But now that's only gonna be the field area, not the outside playground equipment.
Correct, and I agree with that.
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
What's it take, half an hour to get up there on a zero-turn mower to weed whack and mow? Just the field. But if you mow just the field, the first person's gonna look at the outside fence and go, how come you didn't mow the rest of it? Now you gotta explain to him why you didn't mow all of it. That's the way it goes in the village.
You have to bag all that?
Pardon?
You have to bag all that?
We would if they irrigate at that point.
Maybe,
I mean, I'd love to see the irrigation
Oh,
in there. I'd
Sam,
love
and
to
I
see
knew
the
what I
road.
was doing to you.
I would love to see it.
maybe we could get the school to kick in and mow it. We'll say, well, the village is willing to do the irrigation. You guys can take over, maybe will you guys take over the mowing? hired out to Cliff, he does the football field now.
Would you guys support me going to the school and
Yeah.
saying
I
that?
would.
I'll go with you.
And they still use it for like their gym activities and stuff for like
Sure.
Yeah.
the,
Fit,
PE
PE
works out
class.
there.
yeah, the tennis courts and basketball courts and all that.
I would support it to get more concrete numbers to know where we would be at for sure. And see if they don't kick in, that changes the ball game again for us. But
Well, like Ralph said, you have an added expense of blowing that system out, keep that in mind.
Would that be part of the maintenance that we want the school to provide?
Well, right now the school has Grand Traverse Irrigation blow out all their irrigation. And the only reason I know that's because the school and the village coincide, so we bring one guy in town on the same day to cut the cost between the two of us. So it's gonna be an added expense to whether it be the school or the village.
And what do we blow up?
our,
What do you mean, when we blow our irrigation system uptown? I have nothing to blow that out, so I use Grand Traverse Irrigation just like the school.
What does that cost Sam
I
about?
think it's right around $215 to $230 a year to blow it out. And that softball field's not gonna be that difficult, let's be real. But now, when Ralph's talking about that, you gotta keep in mind, he's hooking right onto the backside of a well house. Well, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is an irrigation system right on the back of my well house. I bet there's gonna have to be an RPZ put on that, because it's a direct connection to the well house.
and then we
So
have
there's
to
a
look at-
very expensive part right there,
Yeah.
that has to be
RPZ is
tested every year. Reduced pressure backflow preventer.
Okay.
And now it's gotta be tested every year. There's a cost to test that every year. I'm 100% for this irrigation.
I had no idea
really
about
would.
that.
But it's just a ton of headaches that go with it. But I would definitely support him and do what we can to help him possibly get it up there.
Could we hook in from the line from Howard Street
Pardon? That'd be too much of an expense at that point.
to go under Howard?
You're underneath all the blacktop roads, that'd be a huge expense to
Up
put
front.
a tap.
Okay.
You're farther ahead to tap the well house right where it's at. And actually, we have 2-inch pipe coming out. We actually have 4-inch discharge coming out that is iron pipe thread that I got a cap on, I got it screwed down to 2-inch, and then I got it choked down to 3/4 inch to put water into the bathrooms that are up there.
Sounds like a
And that's what he could tap right onto. So there's a 2-inch outlet right outside the back. Anything's doable. Just a cost to it, just so everybody knows it.
How much do you think one of those valves is, Sam?
Jennifer, I'll bet an RPZ's $1,500 anymore, a
You
2-inch.
wouldn't have to necessarily go with an RPZ, but yeah, it would be an
You can't
improved
do-
backflow, but
You
yeah.
can't do double check valves at that point, so you might just want to go with an RPZ. Because double check
What's
valves
it
are no
cost,
longer
what's it
legal, I
cost to
believe.
check it, Sam?
Jennifer knows all about
Yeah,
this stuff.
they're
so.
about $900 for a unit like that, but then like Sam said, you have to have an entity test it that's licensed to do that.
Yeah, licensed plumber. Well, actually, you guys could send me to school.
But don't you have
That's
other ones that you test
I
already yourself?
subcontract everything out.
Ralph, before you go back to the school, we wanna get all those numbers,
Okay.
ducks in a row, so we know what we're talking about.
Okay.
So,
And I'll get with you too, Ralph, on some of the other things up there
Okay.
before you go, so let me know ahead of.
Yeah.
But I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Okay, thanks, Sam.
Other than no fertilizer. We will not be fertilizing the grass up there.
Can we weed and feed it?
No, that's fertilizer.
Not really fertilizer,
You
just
got a
give
well
it a
right below it,
weed.
no,
Huh?
no,
Think it'll grow too fast?
no. I've got a city well right below it.
Oh,
I don't want no fertilizer on there because of the well right there. That's the catch.
The beauty with grass is the more you water it, the better it looks.
dandelions, but.
Just mow
Okay, we'll move on. Police report, Scott?
Thank you. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the report. Pretty busy. One of the things I'll point out at the bottom there, somebody was asking me the other day if we're keeping busy, and I said, yes, we are. And it was kind of a good kind of busy. We're just keeping busy on just some simple things. I was able to pull up complaints from last year versus this year, and we are up actually 26% at the same time that we were last year. So, and it's a little bit of everything. It's the ordinance stuff. It's you know, everything from barking dogs to traffic stops and everything like that. So we are definitely keeping busy. A little bit of training for Don, which was the Narcan training, which I actually already had probably last year, so it's more of the, for the heroin overdoses, he got a chance to go to that. Since the last time I gave you a report, we also assisted Elk Rapids Police Department with their Harbor Days like we do every year. But besides that, so again, just keeping busy.
Any questions for Scott?
Yeah, how is Don doing on the ordinance?
Excellent.
complaint stuff?
Seriously, excellent. I just had Rachel's in the office and I was showing her that the big stack of things that he's cleaning up on. Every week I give him a stack of stuff to do and he's Johnny on the spot. A lot more time than I can dedicate, because obviously when I'm handling, you know, bad checks and all those, the criminal aspect of it, unfortunately the ordinance stuff kind of gets pushed back to the side, but he's got lots of time to do that and he's pretty eager to get it all done. And, you know, even simple things like moving cars and getting grass mowed and stuff like that. He's pretty much, to this point, I think we drove around today a little bit and we came up with 4 more. Unfortunately, by the time you get a handful of them done, you get them all resolved and then 5 more pop up. They're kind of like, you know, dandelions. You knock them down and they pop back up. So we go around every week and kind of come up with a list, but at one point I think we had 60-some people on our list of just various things from junk cars to trash and stuff like that. And honestly, driving around today, we probably only came up with 5 or 6. So, I mean, it'll be a consistent problem that we're dealing with, but he's doing a great job, I think, so.
Oh, I saw Bob Burnett today. Is he?
Well, Bob came in, a couple things. Bob used to do the ordinance things, so at some point when Don was getting orientated, I wanted him to go with Bob for the day just to kind of say, this is how I did things, this is some things you can learn, and kind of more of an orientation thing. Bob also we also went through, when I was looking at the reports, every so often I go through and clean up our reports, make sure that they're not open versus closed and stuff like that, more of a internal housekeeping. I came up with about 10 or so that Bob needed to finish up and clean up and close out, so he came in to do that too, so. So it's more of a kind of and Bob's usually will kind of more or less do our firearms and stuff. He'll actually be back in next month and we'll actually catch up on our firearms before the winter time comes and stuff like that. So every so often, you won't see Bob often, but once in a while you will, so. I thought it was important for those two to get together today to kind of get orientated on, you know, the stuff that Bob was doing and stuff like that, so.
How does the hours work? You got Bob and
Well, what
the
happened
other
is,
guy.
we have so many hours and I can't remember the
So
exact
we have so
number.
many hours allocated per week, and those guys say, I'll do X amount and I'll do Y amount?
It works out to be about 15 to 20 hours. I think that's what I have budgeted in per week. Unfortunately, when Terry left and we've had some other people, in my mind, I know we have a lot of extra hours that we haven't used. So once in a while, I'll double them up. Or,
Okay.
like the other day, Don was working. He works 2 days a week is what I have him on. So because it gives him about 16 hours a week. So I know I've got about an extra 4 hours of buffer in there. The other day when Mammoth pulled their permit for their party downtown, I just had Don come in an extra day just to kind of fill that gap and to cover that. Unfortunately, it rained and they were out at their warehouse. So, but he got the chance to drive around and see what town looked like at the evening and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
so every so often when we have special events, I know there's hours in there. And I think last
It's
year,
already within, internally in our budget, so it
Exactly.
doesn't matter how
Yep.
we slice up.
and for the last 4 or 5 years, we've always had money that have been
Alright.
not used in hours and stuff like that, because we've always had a gap in having a part-time person and stuff like that, so. So I'm pretty sure we're well within that range of that part-time hours, so. So that's, but as a rule, it's probably about 16 to 20 hours a week that we have for part-time help, so. Which gives him about 2 shifts a week to cover, so.
Anything else? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Sam?
Everybody has a copy of DPW, and there's only a couple oddball things on here that I wanted you to be aware of. One of them was a water main break we had here a couple weeks ago behind the, Brian Patton's wife's, the alley and behind Kathy Patton's. I don't have my glasses on. Loader, front tires, I had to put new, we caught a railroad spike in the loader down here in our relief pile that we went to turn over to mulch it down some more, and somebody threw a railroad tie in it, and of course, had a big old spike sticking half out. We found her, so I had, at that point, you got a whole lot bigger road in the tires, so you can't patch it. So I ordered 2 new tires, they're on the loader. And number 14, I have been in here the last 2-3 months telling you guys about all the water samples we've been taking. Well, to date, we took 103 water samples this year. And the only reason I bring that up, September is the end of my monitoring period. All monitoring schedules have to be done by September 3rd for what they recommend, or by the end of September, the end of the 9th month. And ours come to 103 without bacteriological samples. Keep that in mind. We take 4 of them every month too. So next year, we're gonna have to really look at our water budget and budget separate for just water testing, so we get a better idea of what we actually spent. Rachel's went ahead and put it all into one account, and come the end of the year, we'll look at that, and it's gonna be a real good number, because I think next year, we're gonna have probably the same amount of lead and copper, and water quality, and TTHMs and everything. And it's a huge cost. Huge cost.
Questions for Sam?
Pardon?
Any questions for Sam?
Yeah, I got one. Well, I talked to Sam last week about number 10. Reported 20 street lights out and only fixed 6 to date. It seems like Consumers is not doing a very good job about coming over and getting our street lights back up running again.
Rob was down today, down to the shop, he talked to me, and I told Rob, I got 2 more that I'm reporting tomorrow
Is
morning.
that what them orange
So,
cones are?
The orange cones are signifying them streetlights have been burned out. Some of them streetlights were called in over a month ago. Consumers come in, they fixed 6 of them, we got the wind that day, they took off and had a power. So that guy left, haven't seen anybody since then.
I talked to one of those guys the other day when they were out working on one of them, and I said, you know, some of these that are being reported are coming on and off. And I said, in years past, we had that same thing, and they would come and they would cover the photocell, and the light would come on, and that's good enough for them, they go away, it works. They said, that isn't the case, the bulb's going bad. So, after it's on for a while, it overheats the
Sensor.
and then it shuts off.
But now
When
they,
it cools off, it comes back on.
now they replaced the eye and the bulb when I called it in, because I was right there when he
It's just
fixed the one.
ridiculous.
I said, what are you physically doing? He says, I replaced the daylight to dawn sensor and the bulb, no matter what now.
Well, that's what I talked to him about. I said, you know, you're not fixing the problem because you're not waiting long enough for it to go off.
I'm not too sure this board or the village president shouldn't write Consumers Power a little letter and say, we're gonna start deducting
We pay a flat fee for
$15.99
those
a month
right?
Yeah,
for however many days these bulbs are up.
We've got a pretty good electric bill.
We got 93 streetlights in town, and I've got 20, I'm gonna have 22 of them reported, and out of that 22, only 6 are gonna be fixed.
How often are you calling them in?
Pardon?
How often do you call them in? Once a week, every
Well,
other
getting
day?
ready to switch my hours over to 7 o'clock in the morning, so every morning I've been coming in at 5:30, taking a ride around to see which ones are going on and off. Because once I start coming in at 7, the daylight to dawn sensors are already starting to shut off.
How
So-
many are out? 22?
There's gonna be, well,
14.
16, because 6 of them have been fixed. There's gonna be 16 of them after tomorrow morning that are still, and 14 of them 16 were called in over a month ago.
Those are the high pressure sodium.
And I have the verifications, because they send you verification.
How often do you call them in?
I don't, as soon as I find them, I report them.
Oh.
That's all I do. You go to Consumers Power website, street light out, and then they give you a number to follow up on the tracking to see, 'cause as soon as they fix them, they punch them in, and then you get a notification in your email that that street light has been fixed.
Okay.
And I've got 6 notifications of 20 street lights being fixed, but I'm gonna call 2 more in. So, take.
Larry, I've got the area manager's card. I can give it to you. I want it back. I didn't really want to do it that way. My file over here.
Would you like to write the letter since you're head of that committee?
Oh, I think you'd do a heck of a job.
We spend more time with them guys than.
They'd like to hear from somebody new, I'm sure.
Well, I recommended one letter already this weekend. I'm sure he's done for a while.
Anything else for Sam?
Thank you.
Thank you. Campground lab?
Well, we're back to cutting grass now, we got some moisture, and,
So 3 fire rings, put up signs that we approved at the committee meeting. One for garbage, camper garbage only in the dumpster down there, and one for boat trailer parking. So maybe we can eliminate some of these cars that come out of the campground and park over there where the boat trailers should. Got those all up.
How many trailer car parking signs did we get?
One,
Just one? You think we need more? Because the minute you park one car in front of that sign, you can't see anymore.
they're up quite high.
The one is up high.
The one is up pretty high. It probably wouldn't hurt to get another one, but this is doing the trick right now.
Let's get 2 more.
Where'd you get it?
But where'd you get it? From,
Jack,
she got it,
yeah,
from Jack.
Jack.
Nice little aluminum signs, nice.
Oh, okay, because I haven't gotten a bill. I was just.
You haven't got a bill yet?
Uh-uh.
I'll stop in and see him.
But
I'm like,
anyway,
Rob and I were talking about it today.
So you'll talk to Jack and get 2 more?
Oh, 2 more?
Yeah.
Hello. All right, that's also part of the problem with the people dumping their garbage when they left down at the park. Not people who were in the park, but outsiders who come down there and dump it before they took off to go home.
and,
I want some every day. I saw it the other day too. Some lady, big old bag, stuck it right in.
Can afford 2 houses, but can't afford to take care of
$3
Yeah,
last year.
right.
You can do it in the car wash.
last week I actually had somebody circle in the campground. I happened to be sitting in the trailer. I watched 2 cars from Ohio. Evidently, they didn't think I was around there because I drove up by the day park pavilion. Guy got out of the back, car, walked around the back, grabbed a bag of garbage off, watched him walk right around to the men's bathroom and put it in the bathroom. Before he got out of there, I was up there with a golf cart. He said, "You just put garbage in there." "No, I didn't." I said, "You just put garbage in there." He said, "I would like you to take it out of there." He said, "Okay." He said, "Don't make a deal of it." He says, "But I have no place to get rid of it." I said, "Sure." I said, "You got property on the lake, you must have money enough to take and afford garbage." I said, "We don't want to take care of your garbage." But he had 4 other bags in that car.
Oh,
So he was gonna get the rest of the,
I watch them every day.
that's something we contend with, and I got that sign up by the dumpster now down there. I also checked last year's numbers, this year's numbers. I thought we were busier than we were. We only increased by 11 reservations this year. We've turned over 1,000 people in that park this year. And this is just through this week. So, and I've still got reservations for the rest of the week, and I got reservations for next week too, so we are doing pretty well up there. We did talk about 3 items in the committee the other day, and one of them was move the tents off the hill and keep that open for the trailers. I would like to see that happen. And I also like to do something with the reservations. When these people make a reservation and they don't come in or don't notify, we take and set a policy whereby we hold that reservation for 24 hours. If they don't notify us, let's cancel them out and take and use that site. It makes it difficult. I had two people over Labor Day never come in. They had good sites. One was a tent on top of the hill. One was a trailer site. They never come in. And I could have used those sites. But we got their money and everything. We didn't lose anything as far as money, but I think our idea is to people in here and take advantage of the people coming in. If they wanna call, they'd notify us, I wouldn't have any problem holding the site. And I don't think that'd be much of a job, and we discussed it there, I don't think it'd be much of a job to put it on the website, would it?
It can just be added to the rules.
Well, that would be wonderful. Another thing, we got, Site
Under
8.
courtesy or something like that.
Site 8, we had a individual reserved Site 8 down there, the small one on the water, on that creek. He reserved that for a 30-foot trailer, and when he got there, the trailer was 34 foot. We have trouble getting some of the tents on there, let alone a trailer. So I did take and move a tent off the top of the hill, down on Site 8, and put the trailer up top. I think we ought to take and restrict that Site 8 to pop-ups, or fold-down trailers, and tents only. When we got a full park, we don't have any place to put somebody that makes us. And
Is that the one right next to the creek?
that's the one right next to the creek.
It's not the
And
little
that
pie
web,
shaped one, is it?
huh?
Not the little pie shaped one, right?
Yeah,
No, it is a pie shaped one?
yeah, the little one right by the creek, right by the bridge.
Yep, okay.
And that website, and I went in and looked at it, that website let me take and go in there and, reserve that site for a 30-foot trailer, without any problem. No way you're gonna bend a 30-foot trailer in that hole.
Unless they look at the, site details, it doesn't tell them how big that site is.
That site, is still listed as a 30-foot site on there.
But they have to go into the site details
Yeah,
to look at.
Yeah, I did.
I haven't changed any of that
Yeah,
yet.
but
I'm
But we
gonna
should
wait
take it-
until the season's over and then I'll go in and edit
I
all that
think,
stuff.
I think we ought to just take and make that strictly a tent and a fold-down trailer, because these trailers are getting too big for what we got now. It would take and eliminate some of the hassle. That's all I got.
Do you have anything for Lyle?
Have we looked to see how often Site 8 has been rented? Is it a very?
It's been running quite a bit this last year, quite a bit. I've had a lot of tents on there, in fact, yeah, that hasn't set open too much, but it is,
More than
Per
most.
square footage, that's our greatest revenue generator in the park.
Is it?
Yes,
Okay.
without a shadow of a doubt. You do not want to.
Site 8.
Yep.
we need all the space we can get. For the amount of people that's coming in, we need all the space. We just gotta use it a little wiser.
Yep.
That's all we have to do.
Yeah, Rob, I just wondered if we were looking at putting additional campsites on top of the hill, as we've been talking in the past, would it benefit us then to add 8 and 9 together and make a shift there? To where it's still a site, but it's a combined site or something, I guess.
Well, that might be something to think about, but right now I can give you 2, 4, 6. 6 names already for sites on top of the hill. So, you know, it's getting popular up there, guys, I hate to say it. We got-
Site 8, and from our 2015, number of reservations was 14, but it's only reservations, it does not tell you how many days each reservation was for. I'd have to go further in to tell you exactly, oh wait. I don't know, like,
Is that all the data that I have to put in for the last
yes.
year?
Looks like
I'll
21
have data
days.
like that next month.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
like I said, it's, we do pretty well on that little site.
that average on that days on that site is probably closer to 5 days for every round you get.
So 14 times 5, so.
Yeah.
Are all those sites, when they make the reservations, are they all notified as to what, I mean, does it say what size trailer or what can go on them?
Not unless they look at the detail.
They have to look at they have to push the proper buttons to look at the, safety details.
I mean, that can be another pop-up that comes up that says, please click on the detail to make
Right.
sure you will, your
Your trailer will
camper
fit,
will
right?
fit there.
So
I
that's
think it
something you
should
can
be.
do.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it should be. It'll solve a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
Could you color coordinate the map for the campsite? Like if it takes a.
When you first pull it out,
Why is it
Yeah.
not there? That's green for
what
tents,
size
Rob.
camper you have.
Why wouldn't it be like green?
We didn't approve that yet, it will be green eventually.
We have not.
What we would have to do, we could go in and just say that that size is only available for 16 foot. Yeah, the site's a 30-foot site, and that's what people see. Oh, it's a 30-foot site, I can put a 30-footer in it. Well, when truly they got a 34. And that's what happens with it.
There-
We're not the only campground that deals with that.
There's a lot of, if people are getting wiser to this site, there's a lot of people that aren't putting the size of the vehicle in, and that's putting the type of unit in. So you don't know whether they're coming in with a trailer, whether they're coming in with a tent or a car or what. You know, so, you know, it's just a way of playing the game.
And it's all because it says optional.
Yeah, right.
I think the committee needs to recommend to the council the changes, and we put it into an action item, October, November, December, sometime before next season, and we'll deal with them, so. But thank you. Anybody else have anything for last? Corey's not here, they did not meet, so correspondence, a newsletter from MML, the League Foundation Convention starts tomorrow. No, actually starts today, September 14th to 16th. On National Island, there's a municipal attorneys conference up in Marquette, it's already passed, September 9th. Newly elected officials course is November to January, various locations. And you can go to the MML website and look under Michigan's Great Disinvestment, how state policies have forced our communities into fiscal crisis. We got a letter from a camper. We had a wonderful time at a beautiful campground. Lyle was gracious and friendly. Thankfully, he moved our site as we would not have fit on site 8. We intend to come back again often. It's hard to find a gem of a campground as you have. Most try to cram too many campers in as they can. The bathrooms were very clean. The lake view was awesome. Thank you for having us. Northern Lakes Economic Alliance sent a letter. There are grants available through the Michigan Department of Treasury, primarily for municipalities that are experiencing financial struggles. I don't think we might qualify because of our state, but because we're getting over $1 million already, I'm not sure that they will be looked at us too kindly at this point. So, Battle Antrim, Friday, September 16th, 6 p.m., Stonewater's Inn in Bel Air. That's going on if anybody's interested. And I think that's it for correspondence. Rob?
We already talked about lights, let's see, paving, obviously, you had been blind, not to hear or, hear the backup of all the machinery, but we did Maple, we did Howard, all the other ones, I'm not gonna go into them. We approved 148.5, we came in at 113 under budget, but there was about $3,000 in extra. For example, the church, let's see, the church, that would be Chestnut right there, it's called West Street. We cut out a little bit more of the concrete, so that way the water would run into the drain. Well, that was what your issue was, so
Yeah,
we took care of that,
Mhm.
and we have it running right to the drain and out. Let's see, so that was 113 plus or minus 3,000, we get charged for the extra. Bearing in mind also that we took 36,000 from local streets for the water grant. So we're coming in right at 146 for this project. Even with the 36 we had to match with the ICE grant. Sidewalks, we haven't done anything with sidewalks, and like I said, lights, Larry's gonna take take care of that for consumers, and that's it.
Brian, sewer and water?
I don't have anything, I'll talk about it on action items.
Okay. Bill?
I think Scott pretty well covered everything there.
This is Vaughn? Joe?
Pretty much quiet here on, finance and personnel.
Leila?
Well, we've got that in, old business, so we'll wait on that.
Okay. Okay, my report. I think everybody got a copy of a letter or of a work plan that I drafted for Dan Leonard, who asked for this. We are getting a $200,000 grant as long as somebody shows up to the 29th training in Lansing, which I plan to attend, and I believe Greg Shooks is going as well. Melissa said she was going but backed out. That is not written in stone. He needed something to present to them, but it does earmark roughly half of that money to the park project, and which we have finally received EEQ permission to do whatever we want to do down there, according to their rules, so. The rest of that was kind of earmarked for downtown development, farmers market, and whatever else we might dream up between now and the time we get the money and go to work, so.
There are a couple of questions on this, so.
Okay.
One, you're showing 67,035 towards a, grant project in the park. But then the other numbers that kind of get me a little bit is the addition of a public restroom uptown at 6,000. We're looking at doing a 4-stall bathroom in our park right now for roughly 120-some thousand. I'm not seeing how we're gonna do a single lead for 6,000. It's just not a feasible number.
Greg Shooks said he would provide those numbers for me. He did, but
Yeah, that
he
was
didn't
one of my
have
questions.
much room, and this is not written in stone.
Yeah, because that was one of us.
Because you're over budget by $11,000.
Yeah.
Understood that.
Okay.
So what does this letter actually do then?
Dan needed it to take to his higher-ups to say, this is the work plan that this Rising Tide community has put together. He says it's not written in stone, but I have to present them with something.
Would you call this a working copy?
I would call this a working copy.
All right, because you're way off on your peer numbers, like way off. I'm
I
coming up to
took the peer numbers, and that 67 and 35, I took right off of the estimates for the project. So-
Yeah, you forgot pilings, spring piles, on the one thing, helical piles, and lateral tiebacks.
Which will be covered for monies that we are getting anyway.
Okay,
So I needed roughly half of the budget, that 200,000, I'm putting towards the park.
okay,
That's not saying that the rest of it's not gonna get done, it's just not coming from this money, it's probably coming from the $160,000 grant.
all right, because I,
This is surplus money that we're trying to allocate to various projects, and I spread it out farther than, obviously, than the 200,000, but that's okay. It's not written in stone. This isn't gonna say this is what we're actually gonna do. At some point in time, we'll probably have to follow the plan
all right,
according to that grant, but he needed something right away. That was my response
so
to
there's,
that.
just to make sure that I'm clear on this, we're not somehow building a pavilion and a bathroom tomorrow on the, corner of North and 80.
Correct.
All right. What was the other question?
Well, I had a question too, so this being an outline of what you got going, council still has to approve anything before it happens, correct?
Correct.
And then the last line, it says improvement to existing parking facilities, resurfacing, $10,000. What parking lot are you talking about?
One by the post office.
Post office. All right, and what did you use for your square feet per?
I didn't,
You
I threw
didn't?
out a figure off the top of my
This
head.
Gordy, okay, because Gordy Frazier's $1.50 a square foot.
Okay.
Reeve and Riley's 97 cents per square foot, and what was Elmer's, 93?
Yeah, but you can't go by that because then you've got pulverizing figured
So-
into there too. So don't go by that,
All
Rob.
right,
Again, it was just
Right.
Something to give to the state.
something to give
all
to
right,
the state.
okay.
So we have a direction more than anything.
And then there are other ideas, if someone brought other ideas to the table,
Absolutely.
all right, like paving the tennis courts or something like that.
Yeah, that has to be used for infrastructure.
Oh, that's right, okay. Yep, all right.
Okay, Rising Tide meetings will be on the fourth Wednesday of the month for the next 8 months at 6 p.m. The consultants have met with the Rising Tide group. They are excellent resources. And Rachel was there, I was there, nobody else in the room, but we both walked away and said that's one of the best meetings we've had in the whole thing. So there was a lot of positive energy going, and I know that there's work still being done. They are, have a couple of projects that they're working towards, and it's good. So we're getting to the meat of the Rising Tide program here, and I think will provide much benefit to us in the next 8 months. So, and we'll end up with a work plan that will replace this. And say,
Okay.
this is what we're doing.
All right.
This is a work plan for economic development, essentially is the goal for the Rising Tide group.
While we're on the subject, and we have Jennifer Hodges here, the north side docks. How many are we scheduled to put in? 3, and we're still going with 3. There's no
There's no cutback.
cutbacks. We're all in agreement on that.
Yep. We've got half of that,
Bill, you agree on that?
200,000,
Yep.
All right,
half of that,
Leland?
200,000.
okay.
Half of that 200,000 is gonna be designated towards the park in some capacity,
Okay.
okay?
That'd be great help.
Yes, it will. Because we were gonna stretch ourselves thin without that, so. Wednesday, September 28th, 2016 at 4 p.m. There will be a passing of that check for the big infrastructure grant, the $746,000 or whatever the figure is. You are all invited
4 p.m.
at 4 p.m.
Refreshments and light hors d'oeuvres?
You
That's a
are
possibility, but there is a Rising Tide meeting at 6 o'clock, so. I already mentioned that our DEQ permit for the park has been completed, and that's all I have. Approval of the bills, prepaid for $10,023.68, payroll of $6,189.69, payables $10,231.91, for a total of $26,427.27. Need a motion to approve the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll support it.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hodley,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yep.
Henry.
Yes. New business, education and training. Yeah, I just missed it.
Oh, I just happened to see it in there. I
Okay.
missed it earlier.
There was another correspondence. The Rotary Charities of Traverse City has provided a $30,000 grant for a universal access kayak launch and down in Elk Rapids. And there is a 10 to 12 donuts and refreshments that's taking place down there if anybody's interested, so. No, I'm not gonna
Okay.
We already discussed.
New business, education and training, that was put in there. Melissa had a question regarding, she wanted to take a lakes course online that was 4 to 6 weeks long. And I suggested that if she wanted to take it, we would support it, but I wanted evidence that she actually completed the course, which, before we would pay for it. And she said, well, if that's the case, then I'm not gonna pay for it. So that's what that's about. I didn't think that was an unreasonable thing to do. She argued that she got paid prior to her zoning class that she physically had to go to, which I think is a little bit different than sitting in a computer and sitting through a class at that point in time. So I think it was just way too easy to miss a session, and I just wanted some evidence that it was taken, and that's where that was. That's what that's there for, and she's not here, so I'm not gonna belabor on the point.
If we have any knowledge questions, we can refer them to Tip of the Mitt too. I mean, there's a lot of resources out there.
Action items. Decide on an engineer for the ice grant project. I'm not sure that, I don't think we have much choice, but
There's some pretty
we
good firms.
received essentially one application that came from Gordy Frazier's, and
I heard that before.
No.
Have they done much around here?
I did talk to another engineer and company, and I thought he was going to submit something, but he didn't, so I don't think we have any reason not to select Gordy Frazier's.
We got a really nice letter from a councilman
I
here too
think, I think we did
that
too.
said it all.
I read this from page to page in one of my slow time days, and I was very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
So I need a motion to accept Gordy Frazier's.
I make that motion.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Jennifer, did you see that letter?
I actually just read it just now.
Okay.
And, thank you, Rob, that was,
Oh, you're welcome.
No, that-
Yes, thank you.
but,
Okay.
it was very well received, and I never hear that. I usually hear the negative, so I truly appreciate that, and I very much enjoy working with the council here and all the staff of Central Lake, so thank you.
Got a motion on the floor. And I guess in essence, we're spending money for this, so we probably should have a roll call.
Hasn't it already been, Oddly?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Patton?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes. Thank you for your hard work, we appreciate it. Protect annual membership, this is public road right of way. They lobby to make sure that we have rights of way protected if we need it. And we have belonged the last year, I don't know how many years prior to that. And they're asking for us to join again.
I make a motion to approve the annual membership. Support that.
Been moved and supported to accept, how much is it? $100, was it?
Yeah.
119.
Huh?
119?
119? Got a motion on the floor and supported, any further discussion? All in favor of the motions, roll call?
Oddly?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Becker?
Be careful, we won't break ourselves.
Okay, Sam's been asked by the school to bring water to their facilities at the football field so they could have bathrooms, locker rooms.
Can I talk
Yeah,
about
we
this?
can talk about it.
Like I said, Sam was approached by the school, Gary Mortensen. What they would like to do is run water from Western Intermediate Lake Drive to the brown pole barn as you come in off Western Intermediate. There's never been water there. Our new coaching staff has really done a great job on that building. They put locker rooms in, individual lockers for the kids. And they have to go all the way up to the practice field to get water for the water buckets and stuff. So they would like to have water run to that brown building, just to the outside. We will run it to the outside of the building, and then they will take it from there. Just so it'd be more convenient. And hopefully someday they want to put some bathrooms in there.
That ought to be a good bargaining chip.
Exactly.
We want
Well,
the
I guess
grass
my
mowed
question-
up there at the other park.
Again, the money going to the boys.
Yeah.
But why is this on the council packet? If I want water run to my house, I don't come to the council. Why is this isn't an action item?
Because of cost involved in it.
So, well, we're paying the cost for it. They're not.
Right.
I'm not saying nothing.
What's the cost for that, Sam?
What's that?
What's the cost for that? What size line are they asking for?
1 inch, a regular service tap like anybody else would have.
How many foot?
What's the railroad right away? 70 foot down through there?
100 foot on that one, yes.
It's not no more than 100 foot. I guess why I didn't go hook it up, because I wouldn't charge them for it because they're the school. I told the school when I talked to them, I thought we could get it past the village council would go ahead and approve it if they paid for the parts and we ate the labor. That's reality, because they're the school.
You got the time to do it?
Oh, yeah, I would make the time to do that, Bill. That's big enough to me that I would make the time no matter what.
There you go. We got a good bargaining
I'd
chip.
like to make that motion to approve the hookup.
I'll support.
Been moved and supported, any further discussion?
Yeah. I'm all in favor of doing this, but then maybe this should spur conversation about them cutting the lawn. Well, who's gonna take that initiative to talk to?
I would also, if you're gonna do that, remember, we put water into their practice football field at no cost to them.
It just seems we're getting a one-way street
Yeah,
here.
we have some leverage.
I don't want to use it as leverage, but I just wanted to show that we're showing good faith. We'd like to see good faith back is all.
Absolutely.
And there's a new superintendent and
I agree, but it's still tax dollars, either way you look at it, coming out of our pockets. It's either tax dollars that the school gets or tax dollars that the village get, we're still paying for it.
well, we're
One
kind
way
of
or
out of
the other.
formula. We're out of formula with the school, so it's a whole
The
different.
school draws from a way bigger area
Whole
than the village.
different, you can't, that's not even close to apples to apples.
I do like Bob's idea of let's make sure that's included in the talk.
Sure,
I definitely will support putting it in.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not gonna hold it up for any reason, I think it'd be great for them to have water for the rest of the season. So, well, that's my only discussion, we have a vote on the table.
Anybody else? Those in favor of the motion say aye. Nah,
Okay,
Send it
All right.
around the budget.
motion's carried. Approved developing an emergency and general information text program. The communications committee at last meeting proposed.
I actually, if I can jump real quick, I'd like to table this.
Okay,
We did talk about it, and I think there's some great things here, but until Melissa has actually a guideline or something to show us what we're looking at doing, I think we should table that.
anybody disagree with that?
Yeah.
She's the one who knows it.
Okay. MML Board of Directors, there's 2 incumbent directors that have agreed to seek re-election.
Mhm.
They are